buddy.
How you doing?
Not bad, not bad. How was your sleep?
Oh, it was a great sleep. What time is it?
Oh, it's about 4:30.
4:30, eh? Oh, how long have I been asleep?
I'd say about, 6 hours. 355 days.
What? 355 days?
Yes, you've been asleep a year. No.
Why didn't you wake me up?
Well, you just look so peaceful. I didn't want to interrupt your sleep. It seemed mean.
Why don't I have a beard?
Well, I've been shaving you.
You've been shaving me?
Well, not in a weird way or anything. Just in like one bro shaving another bro. I can't just let you get dirty like a vagrant.
All right, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a good year actually. I became a millionaire.
Really?
No! Look at the basement around you. We're still living in a basement. Oh, by the way, we're also in Michigan.
We're in Michigan?
I was getting a little tired of LA. It was getting to be boring. I just picked you up and put you in the back of the car, honestly. You slept like a baby the entire ride. It was kind of cute.
I slept through all of this.
Well, yeah, even I put you on a horse for a while through Wyoming. You rode a horse. You were out cold. I don't know.
What happened to Risk Legacy?
Oh, well, that debacle. Well, the game was fun for about the first 5 games, but after that you kind of got a little tired of it. And then you still had 10 more to go before you could rip up the board, so... Well, it wasn't bad.
What happened to Boardgasm?
Well, the videos kind of languished in YouTube hell, and people generally forgot we existed, but it's okay. It's okay. Huh. So you feel like doing Boardgasm?
Boardgasm?
Hell yeah! Good news, it's only 1 week till Gen Con.
It's only a week till Gen Con?
Yeah.
I gotta do shit.
Boardgasm. 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 Boardgasm.
I miss my shelf. Incan Gold is a risk management game for 3 to 8 players. At the start of your game, you're given this little tent that you kind of pop up in front of you. That's where you'll hide all your tokens that you'll be scoring throughout the game. You get a bag of tokens that come with the game, and they represent jewels of some sort, obsidian, gold, stuff like that. And they range in point value from 1 to 5 to 10. You have a deck of cards. You shuffle it before the game starts, and you just flip up cards. Most of the cards in the game consist of these scorecards, that have numbers that range 1 all the way up to 17, with pictures of treasure and stuff on them. Some of the cards have these hazards on them: rocks, snakes, mummies, spiders, things like that. You flip up 1 card at a time, and depending on what comes up, the following happens. If it's a treasure card, you divide that much treasure up amongst the number of players. So if there are 3 players and you drew a 9, everyone would get 9. If you had 3 players and you drew a 10, everyone would still get 3, however you would then put 1 in the center. It's only divided up evenly. If there's any extra left over, it goes to the center of the table. Now, if a monster card comes up, one of 2 things happens. If only one of a particular type of card has come up, then you just kind of leave it there. If one of every card came up, then you still just leave them there, because one of any bad card isn't that bad. It doesn't stop the game, it just kind of makes you question what you're going to do. Now, the very first time, though, that a second bad card of a particular type comes up, that means if you have not gone home yet, you're dead. Now, what do I mean by going home? At the start of the game, you're also given 2 cards. Each person will have one of these, and you keep them face down. One represents going home. You're going to take whatever you have, and you're going to split. The other says you're going to keep going. You're going to risk possibly dying and losing everything you have for the potential to make more money. Now, if you go home, you actually are allowed to take what is left on the table, anything that couldn't have been split in previous rounds. If multiple people go home, then what's left on the table is split amongst whoever goes home. Once again, if there's anything left, it also stays on the table. The risk is you could potentially keep going, but you might die and lose everything. However, if you keep going, you might make more money. The more people who go out, then the less the money is split. So if you started off with 8 players, it's going to be split 8 ways till people slowly go home, where eventually there could possibly only be 1 player left. At that point, any card that's flipped up, they're getting all of it, because it doesn't need to be divided anymore. The game lasts 5 rounds. At the start of every single round, you put in one of these cards. They're called artifact cards. Each of them has a particular picture of some type of treasure. What's on it really doesn't matter. The order they come up in is what does matters. Since you only put in 1 per round, it's more likely that one of them will come up towards the final rounds. The first 3 that come up will be worth 5 points. The last 2 that come up, regardless of when they were put in the deck, will be worth 10 points. The catch being, only 1 person gets to take them home. If nobody goes home, then they stay on the table, and they could be drawn later on. If 1 person, and only 1 person goes home on a round when there's an artifact on the table, they take that artifact and they get the points. However, if 2 people go home, then no one gets it. The artifact is discarded. Too bad. Now, at the end of a round, if anyone is killed by a particular card, 1 of that card is actually removed from the game. So by the final round, it is actually very possible that the deck will be much, much safer. Now, if no one's killed in a round by a particular card, then no cards are removed and the deck stays almost exactly the same. At the end of 5 rounds, everyone reveals their tent. They add up all of their treasure, add in any artifact points they might have picked up, and whoever has the most points is the winner.
Hello there. Now it's time for a component breakdown with me, Jerry Arlen. I'm holding some intriguing game pieces from Incan Gold. For those of you who don't know, the Incans were a Peruvian empire conquered by Francisco Pizarro around the turn of the century, their century. So let's go over these game pieces. First, let's start with the gold. When I first heard of the game, I thought that I would be exchanging little plastic crappy pirate gold, you know, like little bits of treasure that you can find in any child's toy. But instead, I got little tiny beads. Far more funny for children. This feels a bit cheap as far as I'm concerned. The game is called Incan Gold, but there's absolutely no gold handling in the game. Instead, you handle colored beads. So essentially, I'm fighting with other people to possess colored beads and put them in my tent. You can see the tents here, a little creative way. I realize this is a bookshelf game, so I'm not going to harp on them for being cheap with it. They have to be, you know? That's what makes it affordable. But at the same time, I guess this was their best option in terms of hiding your stuff. They gave you a tent that you personally could build with a piece of scrap paper, and on it has Gryphon Expeditions, I guess, because they needed to make sure that the game maker's name was in there. You see, you're going on an expedition for Gryphon. They're kind of cheaply put together. They don't do the best job of hiding your stuff when you're playing the game. A lot of times we just use a cup or something to try and overcompensate, but because, you know, they just loosely hang, and the problem is that they're cheaply made, so they fall down all the time. So the big point of the game, disguising how much money you have, even though if anybody's watching, they can keep a rallying total of how much you've accumulated, especially if they've experienced most of the same things. The point is rather mute, because this often falls down and collapses, revealing all of your money lying right there. They're also rather pointless to begin with, because there's usually 1 person who kicks in this game. There's a few close calls occasionally, but for the most part, people just kick major butt. And when that happens, you kind of know who's winning. We've got 2 little dudes here. These signify if you're going home or if you're blazing into there. So you have this, apparently, I don't like the depiction of the guy who's going home, the coward, is a blonde. And then you've got this brazen man who's storming into a temple. Monster cards. You got a adorable child mummy, a little baby mummy, scary. A snake. Snakes are in temples and stuff. Rock slide, that'll happen. You don't know. You don't know. You're going into a temple. Fire. I guess fire's just laid dormant for a couple thousand years in a temple, waiting for you to come. Fire. Oh, and spiders. This one is actually the only real thing I would be scared of in the temple. Large man-eating spiders. They don't actually show a size for these spiders, so as far as I know, they could be like, you know, like the size of my toe. Just like a web of spiders, and that's enough to make me stop going into the temple. I'm like, oh well, no! So yeah, all of the cards are pretty well designed. They're textured really nicely, and they feel a little bit nicer. I guess they cheaped out on the tents so they could make nicer cards altogether. The components to the game they're all right. They're not absolutely fantastic, and I feel a little cheated by the fact that there's absolutely no Incan Gold in the game Incan Gold. But they're not so bad. And that was Component Breakdown with Jerry.
Since I was a boy, I've dreamed of gold and land to call my own, Frank Pizarro. And then I landed here in dear Peru, and I thought I might just stop and conquer you. Incan Gold, Incan Gold, Incan Gold, Incan Gold.
Eat your heart out, Elton.
And that is Incan Gold.
Incan Gold.
Not Aztec Gold.
Not Aztec Gold.
Incan Gold.
As Francis Pizarro and not Hermes Cortez. Get your history right, America.
Well, anyway, I actually am a big fan of Incan Gold. Whether it be 3 to 8 players, I think it's fantastic with any group size. It's quick, it's simple, it's a lot based on luck. I mean, sure, you can do math and figure out your odds based on how many bad cards there are in the deck and how many good cards there are, but you know, I really just don't mind that much. For some reason, I always seem to have fun every time I play it. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, nobody likes those people who count cards. They ruin games. I am okay with Incan Gold. I call it Aztec Gold constantly because I mix up the two. Incan Gold in general is kind of a repetitive and somewhat dull game. The problem is that it is so it's like a little crack game. It's a bookshelf game that's quite addictive. So whenever we go somewhere, people are up in arms about playing Incan Gold. They're like, let's break out Incan Gold. It doesn't take any thought whatsoever. And I'm like, awesome. Yeah, that's why I came here.
That is true. Let's play Incan Gold. We just played it.
I love games where I don't have to think about anything. That's super awesome. I don't want to have to use a brain of mine. That's kind of how I feel about Incan Gold. It's like, hey, you can either gamble it all, or I don't feel there's much of a strategy. If you were a card counter, sure. But other than that, like, it's just a blatant hope and luck game. And because of that, I don't love it. I tend to dread it when it comes out. I don't feel it's like a little... Roll Through the Ages is a great bookshelf game that I feel is strategic and excellent, and I actually use my brain. This one, I always just leave out my card and let it all roll, because that's how I feel about this game. It just lets it all roll. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. That's still a D, America. That's still a D. And if I know anything about going through high school, it's that Ds aren't that bad. D's are passing.
Just slightly below average.
They pass, yes.
Not god-awful, but
yeah.
Just not that excellent.
I don't love it. Plus, I don't think you can give anything that you can play in under an hour a rating over like a 7.
Well, I mean, come on. We've had really good games that are under an hour.
I guess, yeah, maybe roll through the ages, but yeah, overall, Incan Gold it's an all right game. The craftsmanship is kind of cheaper. It's a quick, simple little thing you can play in between long board gaming sessions, so that's bomb. But other than that, yeah, I'd 6 out of 10.
All right, 8 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10, which means it averages to get a 6 out of 10. Thank you, public school.
Good night, America. It's good to be back.
Oh, it is good to be back, and we shall see you all at Gen Con 2012, which will be in approximately a week in Indianapolis. If you're there, look for us. You'll recognize these wonderful visages. Visages? Visages. I've been playing too much Tales of Arabian Nights. My visage.
The vizier.
The vizier.
The vizier. I don't
know
if that's how you say it.
I might make us Boardgasm t-shirts to wear. So if you see guys wearing Boardgasm t-shirts, come up and say hi.
Because the likelihood of anyone else wearing a Boardgasm t-shirt is slim to absolute
it's
nil.
It's 0 because we haven't actually made them.
If we saw someone wearing a Boardgasm t-shirt...
you make a Boardgasm t-shirt! So yeah, come find us and play some board games with us, because it'll be we're going solo this year instead of part of a big group. We're just going us two. But we're going to be perusing through, and if you find us, ask us to sit down and play some board games. We'd love to play with you. It'll be a blast.
Say hey.
Yeah, don't be put off by the fact that I'm kind of a douche. It's okay.
Good night, America.
Good night, America.
Throw it to your...